I built a 2-foot tall statue of Lilith from Diablo IV. It was 3D printed, assembled, textured, and painted, all right here in my very own shop. Why would I go through all that trouble when you can just buy one? When I saw how much the official statues were going for, I felt like I was being punished for just loving the game. There was no way I was going to spend that kind of money. Honestly, it felt like Lilith herself was taunting me.
And its cost will be more than you can pay.
I just made my own. And today, I'll show you how I built it. From a digital file, all the way to the finished product. So, as Deckard Cain would say,
stay a while and listen.
Let's build that. Let's start with how I got the file and scaled it up. I originally bought the file from a designer on Etsy. My first version was smaller, but it broke. And just for comparison's sakes, this is the original Lilith statue file, and this is my scaled up version. Since then, I've upgraded to much bigger toys, and I gave it a shot at a much larger scale this time. I scaled the print up to 175% of the original print size, maxing out even my biggest resin 3D printer. The body and details were printed in resin. The rocky base is made of PLA from my FDM printer. It was really a challenge to scale it right. I had to find the largest part and scale it to its maximum size, and then scale everything else to the same size as that. Ended up being this wing here. It could scale up to 175% and still fit on the print bed, and so everything else was also scaled up by 175%. Here's a time lapse of that design and printing process, and while that runs, I want to share how I first fell in love with the Diablo game series. I grew up in a small town where entertainment options were limited, but every now and then I'd get to go over to a friend's house, and that's where I discovered Diablo. We'd take turns playing, one death each. It was intense and kind of magical. The world felt huge, it felt dangerous, and it felt alive. However, my mom wasn't thrilled. As someone who grew up in the Bible Belt, a game with the devil on the cover didn't exactly scream wholesome fun. But to me, it wasn't about worshiping evil or inviting the devil into the house. It was just about fighting against it. And more than that, it was about escaping, stepping into a world where you had power, purpose, and a mission, which so often we don't find in our day-to-day lives. So once everything was done printing, I hit everything with a black layer of primer. It really helped to unify the materials and prep the piece for paint. After everything was primed, it was time for assembly. Seeing Lilith finally come together piece by piece was incredibly satisfying. So I'll time-lapse that for you, and I'll finish my story about how games became more than just entertainment for me. As I got older, they were a way to cope, a way to decompress after long days, or just escape when life got too heavy. I know I can't be the only one. For a lot of people, games are kind of like a lifeline, a place to feel in control, to explore, to connect. And when they're done right, when the story just hits right, they stay with you. The Diablo series was that set of games for me. I spent countless hours exploring Sanctuary, chasing loot, and diving deeper into the lore. It wasn't just a game, it was a world I felt like I belonged to. Oh, we're back to how the build's going. Painting took 5 or 6 sessions, and each session was a few hours long. I am by no means a professional painter. I've only started my hand at trying to paint figures or miniatures for probably the last year. So I still have a lot of work here, but I'm incredibly proud of how this turned out. And I put a lot of time and effort into it. And I hope you guys can appreciate that. I used reference shots from the game, from the internet, to guide my color choices here. My wings are a little bit different than some of the pictures I've seen, but I'll put up the picture now of the color scheme for the wings I was going for. I really like this shot, and that's the really neat thing about making your own statue is you kind of get to decide how you want each little individual thing to look. And so that's really exciting that I got to control that versus like the standard wings that would come on the statue if you ordered it officially. Her pale skin, the blood red wings, the dark horns, it was really intimidating to try to paint all that, especially the finer details, but I'm very proud of how it turned out. There's something really powerful about bringing a character like this and a creation like this to life with your own two hands. So while we paint, I'll dive into why exactly Lilith's story hit me so hard versus all of the other Diablo experiences I've had. When Diablo IV first came out, I thought it would be much like the other games. I would buy it as a kickback to my childhood, play it for a little while, and then put it away. However, I didn't expect to find a new kind of depth. It almost felt like my inner child was getting to come out again. The storytelling was darker, richer, more emotional. Lilith isn't just a villain. She's layered. She's the mother of sanctuary, creator of humanity, and a force that challenges the very idea of good and evil. She's not easy to define. And that's what makes her powerful. That complexity, that emotional weight, it pulled something out of me. So I decided to build her, not just as a tribute to the game, but as a tribute to everything games have meant to me over the years. This statue is more than just resin and paint. It's a reminder of the worlds we escape into, the stories that shape us, the characters that challenge us. It's proof that games aren't just games. They're art, they're therapy, they're connection. And for me, this build is a way of saying thank you. Thank you to the creators, to the community, and to the kid I used to be. The kid who found magic in a pixelated world filled with demons and heroes. I hope you've enjoyed this story, and with that, I'll show you the close-up of the final product.
Tell me, did they rejoice?
Thanks for watching, guys. Next up, I'll be building a custom base for this statue of Lilith. We're going to use our CNC machine and some really heavy-duty wood to hopefully get a perfectly designed base and then char it with a little bit of fire. Should look really good, and I'm looking forward to sharing that with you guys, so be sure to subscribe if you want to see that. If you like this kind of content or you want more in-depth guides on the kind of techniques I've used here, be sure to check out my channel. And remember, guys, let's keep building cool stuff. Thanks, and until next time.